ever noticed that Brad Pitt is always eating stuff when he's in a film? It's one of the things that he's become most renowned for and recognized for. And he continues this tradition in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh yes. Oh God. Tastes so healthy. Ugh. But Leonardo DiCaprio also has something that he's become recognized for doing in most of his movies. And that is that he's usually toasting somebody with a glass. It's kind of become his signature move, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might actually be the first film where he hasn't toasted somebody with a glass. I've got a sneaking suspicion he's testing out a new signature move, and it's either the sailor nod thing or the twist. Time to talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hey up guys! So a lot of people have been asking me for my thoughts on the latest Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Thank you guys for taking an interest in what I think, because Quentin Tarantino is one of the few modern auteurs where people really stop and pay attention when he releases a new film. Whenever he makes a movie, you hear people talking about it at work, on the tube, just in the street. People love talking about his movies, and I am no exception. I think he's a wonderful director. I love all of his work, and yeah, this is the first one I've reviewed on my channel, so it's exciting. Finally, after a month of this film being released in the USA, I can finally say I have seen the 9th film from Quentin Tarantino, and I have to say I really liked it. I thought it was a bit slow in places, but overall I was still thoroughly entertained. The plot of this film is set in 1969 Hollywood and is centered around middle-aged actor Rick Dalton, who's played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who feels like his star is starting to fade. Once a Hollywood leading man, he has now been relegated to villain of the week roles on hit TV series. Fortunately though, he's got a friend who's also his stunt double called Cliff Booth, who's playing this film by Brad Pitt, to help him through this existential crisis. The film's subplot is about Rick's next door neighbors, Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate, who are played by Rafael Zorrucha and Margot Robbie. And this film is set around the infamous events of the Manson murders, when members of the Manson family cult broke into Sharon Tate's house while she was heavily pregnant, murdered her, and 4 other people. But because this is Quentin Tarantino, he has gleefully rewritten history for us with this film. The title of this film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, immediately calls to mind the idea of fairy tales. And without spoiling it for you, the ending of this film did feel a little bit jarring, but it's actually very clever because Tarantino is really commenting on Hollywood, film endings in general, and their tendency to lean towards the happily ever after. Some viewers might actually find the ending of this film far too optimistic for a Tarantino film, but I found it quite poignant. The acting in this film was excellent, and I mean from everybody. Leonardo DiCaprio hasn't even been in a movie since his Oscar-winning performance in The Revenant, but his turn as the has-been actor Rick Dalton is fantastic. He nuances him with so many wonderful, nervous mannerisms and idiosyncrasies. He's carrying so many insecurities and he conveys them beautifully. Brad Pitt is superb as the reserved stuntman Cliff Booth, somehow both affable and deadly simultaneously, and he gets some of the funniest lines in this movie. Margot Robbie, who plays Sharon Tate, brings a radiance to this film. Her dialogue is actually quite minimal, but she lights up every scene that she's in with this warm glow. Watching her watch herself as the klutzy girl in The Wrecking Crew, I just fell in love with her. And every supporting player is phenomenal too. Dakota Fanning, Timothy Olyphant, Al Pacino, and the late Luke Perry. They all look like they're having such a great time on set, relishing being there, making this movie. It really shows, and when they're having fun, you're having fun. This is also a film that is meticulous in its technical elements because the interior and exterior set and production design is astonishing, because there's parts of actual Hollywood that have been recreated to look like the swinging 60s, and everything is immaculate. The cars, the clothes, the advertisements, the props. No detail is too small. Tarantino's direction is distinctively Tarantino. My God, I think there's actually more screen time allotted to shots of people's feet than Margot Robbie gets actual screen time. I'm not kidding. But there's also some comical whip pan shots with some whoosh sound effects, particularly well utilized in a scene where Cliff Booth is fighting with Bruce Lee. And of course, it wouldn't be a Tarantino film without some violence, and there's plenty of it in this film. It mostly comes all at the end of the film, but oh my god, is it disturbingly satisfying and over the top gory. I can't say any more about the violence because it is such a spoiler, but I was howling at the screen. So when it comes to negatives, the only thing that I can really think of is that it did feel a little bit sluggish in places. This is a long film, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and Tarantino's films are usually quite long, but normally you don't notice the length because you're so engrossed in a lot of action or violence or very well written scenes. So the first 2/3 of this film, whilst are very engaging, they're well written, well acted, well shot, they do tend to drag on a little bit, and it does take a while for something truly exciting to happen. So it kind of feels if perhaps Tarantino wasn't in a rush to finish and edit this film in time to submit it for this year's Cannes Film Festival, then he might have had more time to finely tune it, sand off the rougher edges, and just make it a little bit more crisp and pacey. But even though I wouldn't say this is his best film, it's still a great watch. It's something that feels very personal to Tarantino, a love letter to old Hollywood and classic cinema. The performances are all cracking. The cinematography by Robert Richardson is strikingly gorgeous. The soundtrack, of course, is as stylish and as well selected as usual, and it's certainly a film that will be more appreciated the more times you watch it. So it's time to ask the big 3 questions. Firstly, will I watch this again? Absolutely. Question number 2, do I recommend it for you guys? It is a must-see for all Tarantino fans. Yes, it might be a tad long and a bit self-indulgent to the point where one of Rick Dalton's movie scenes almost feels like an homage to Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards, but Tarantino gets away with it. I definitely would recommend this film to my friends, but if you're not a fan of gory violence, then yeah, give it a miss. And question number 3, what score am I going to give it out of 10? Even though I said it's not his best, Tarantino always sets the bar so high and delivers something bold, exciting, and engaging. Even though it might not reach the heights of, say, Pulp Fiction, it is still a phenomenally made film and so much better than the majority of the recycled generic crap that we get all year long. So I'm going to give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a score of 9 out of 10. There we go, guys. That is my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But as always, this is just one bloke's opinion. I would love to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of Tarantino's 9th film? Whatever you think, be sure to let your voices be heard in that comment section down below. If you guys do like my channel and want to help me out, please consider hitting subscribe and the little thumbs up button. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All those links are in that video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Gearfield, and I'll see you next time.